It's Thursday, the 27th of June, 2024. Welcome to the Fast 5 Business News by Fear and Greed, where we give you the top 5 business stories you need to know in just 5 minutes. I'm Michael Thompson, and good morning, Sean Aylmer.
Good morning, Michael.
Sean, 5 big stories to get through today, so I better get going. Story number 1, inflation for the 12 months to the end of May jumped to 4%, way above the Reserve Bank's target band, and it's pushed out expectations of an interest rate cut this year, and worryingly, it's even triggered discussion of a hike in rates.
Certainly those hoping for a reduction in mortgage and credit card rates will be disappointed with the 0.4 percentage point increase last month. The Bureau of Statistics said there were a number of significant contributors to the annual rise. Housing was one, electricity was another, fruit and veggies, in fact, things like grapes, strawberries, blueberries, tomatoes, capsicums, they're at their highest level in more than a year, or at least the growth was. Cost of holidays also contributed to that final figure. Petrol prices across the year were up 9%, though the good news is they're actually lower in the month of May. The Bureau said if you remove the more volatile items from the inflation reading, underlying inflation for the 12 months was 4%. Not too bad. Problem is, the Reserve Bank likes something called trimmed mean inflation. It was up 4.4%. No good news there.
Right, what was the response from markets and economists? What are they saying now, Sean, about interest rates?
Well, ahead of the release, the overwhelming consensus was that the next move in interest rates was down. That will happen either late this year or early next year. After yesterday's figures, well, at the earliest, they might be cut in 2025. But bond markets have now priced in a more than 50% chance of a rate hike this year, about September. Believe that? There are now a few market economists also expecting another rate rise, though most still think the next move will be down. The Reserve Bank will have more inflation data before they have to make that decision, Michael.
Sean, on to story number 2 now. Julian Assange is a free man. He arrived in Australia last night after pleading guilty in a US courtroom to publishing military secrets.
It ends a 14-year saga for the founder of WikiLeaks, one that included 7 years in the Ecuadorian embassy in London and 5 years in a maximum security prison in the UK. US Ambassador to Australia Caroline Kennedy thanked the Australian government for its cooperation in bringing Julian Assange's difficult legal saga to a resolution. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese said the case dragged on for too long. No matter what you thought of him, there was nothing to be gained from his continued incarceration.
Story number 3, the former boss of Lend-Lease and Crown Resorts has signed up to be chief executive of Star Entertainment, and he could be paid very handsomely for doing so.
Steve McCann will receive a sign-on bonus of $2.5 million and could earn 4 times that if he can overhaul the company's culture and immediately implement a remediation program for the gaming group. In a poor market, Star's share price was flat yesterday. Mr. McCann ran Crown from June 2021. He's considered an architect of the deal with private equity group Blackstone, which eventually bought Crown for $8.9 billion. He was previously chief executive of Lend-Lease, a role he held for nearly 13 years. His pay packet is very, very large for a $1.5 billion company, but the Sydney-based gaming group is pretty desperate. Good luck to him.
Indeed. Story number 4. How about this one, Sean? Luna Park in North Sydney, an iconic landmark for the Emerald City, is up for sale for at least $70 million.
That is what you call prime real estate, fronting the water at Kirribilli, looking across towards the Harbour Bridge, Opera House and City. The amusement park was opened in 1935 and has had many ups and downs, the worst down being a fire in the Ghost Train ride in 1979 that killed 7 people. The site is heritage listed. Its status as an amusement park is protected by government legislation. It currently has 17 amusement rides, the Coney Island building, 7,000 square metres of building floor space, and a 389-space car park. Canadian manager Brookfield owns Luna Park. It reckons it spent $40 million in the past 4 years to improve the site. Now it's offloading it.
Last one. Story number 5. European Union regulators have charged Microsoft with breaking antitrust rules by bundling its Teams video conferencing and collaboration software with a whole suite of other productivity tools, giving it what they say is an unfair advantage over rivals.
Regulators said Microsoft's packaging of Teams with other well-established software tools in Office 365 and Microsoft 365, which includes programs like Word, Excel, PowerPoint and Outlook, amounted to an illegal abuse of market dominance that rival companies like Zoom and Slack can't match, according to a report in the New York Times. Regulators said businesses essentially had little choice but to take Teams if they wanted other software made by Microsoft. The charges are the latest in a barrage of announcements by the European Union in recent months in its effort to crack down on the world's largest tech platforms. On Monday, regulators accused Apple of violating competition rules because of its App Store policies. Amazon, Google, Meta, TikTok, X, they're all facing investigations relating to their business practices and services. Microsoft's now part of that crowd.
All right, there we go. The top 5 business stories in 5 minutes. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, Michael.
It's Thursday, the 27th of June, 2024. Remember to hit follow on the podcast. If 5 minutes isn't enough, you can find our longer daily show called Fear and Greed, wherever you listen to podcasts, and check out this week's new episode of How Do They Afford That, our sister podcast all about personal finance. This week, we're looking at investor clubs. Is it worth in joining one, pooling your money with other people and deciding on what to invest in as a group? You'll find that wherever you listen to podcasts, and I'll put a link in today's show notes as well. I'm Michael Thompson, and that was the Fast 5 Business News by Fear and Greed. Have a great day.